Dust hung in the Arizona afternoon like a veil, shimmering above the scrub as Luke Harlan rode the trail home. He was thinking about nothing more important than coffee and the quiet of his cabin when he spotted the wagon, pulled off near a dry wash. One wheel was sunk awkwardly into the ground, the whole rig tilted like it had given up. Beside it knelt a woman in a doeskin dress, straight-backed despite the heat, her dark hair glinting blue in the sun. Even from a distance, Luke recognized the beadwork on her belt, Apache work, fine and old. He slowed his horse, lifting one hand to show he meant no harm. The woman watched him with the stillness of a hawk perched on a branch. No fear, no welcome, just a careful measuring of him. "You look like you could use a hand," Luke said as he dismounted. For a heartbeat, she didn't answer. Then she rose smoothly to her feet. "My name is Tala," she said. "This wheel broke. I've tried to shape new spokes, but—" She gestured to a pile of mesquite pieces, all carved true but useless against the larger break. Luke crouched beside the wheel, tracing the cracked rim with a fingertip. "Needs more than new spokes," he said. "Lucky thing is, I've fixed worse." She studied him a moment longer, then nodded. Permission granted. He pulled tools from his saddlebag, grateful he'd never gotten around to taking them out after last week's odd jobs. As he worked, Tala fetched wood, water, and rawhide strips from the wagon. They settled into a rhythm quickly, Luke shaping a stout piece of mesquite to replace the broken section of rim, Tala binding it with rawhide that she soaked and twisted with practiced ease. She said little, but when she did, her words were precise, guiding his hands as though she'd built wagons her whole life. When the wheel finally sat straight again, Luke tightened the last bolt and stepped back. Tala inspected their work, running her palm over the repaired join. She gave a small, faint smile, more gratitude than most folks ever showed him. "You helped without asking payment or reason," she said quietly. "Few offer kindness without weighing danger first." Luke wiped sweat from his brow. Didn't seem right to ride on, seeing someone stranded. Tala bowed her head slightly. "My people remember those who act with honor." He mounted up, still feeling her words echoing in him, long after he rode away. He didn't notice the distant glint of sunlight on metal from the cliffs. Above, didn't see the watchers, who had witnessed everything. By the next dawn, their presence would stop being shadows. Luke woke before sunrise, the kind of waking that came from a feeling rather than a sound. For a moment he lay still on his bunk, listening. The desert usually hummed in the early morning, crickets fading out, wind brushing through creosote bushes, the occasional distant coyote. But this morning there was nothing, not silence, but expectation, like the land itself was holding its breath. He swung his legs over the side of the bed and reached automatically for his boots. A faint vibration tickled through the floorboards, so soft he thought he imagined it. Then it came again, steady, rhythmic, hoofbeats, more than one set. Luke stepped onto his porch, still barefoot, and the world seemed to stop. A ring of Apache riders encircled his cabin, horses painted in streaks and zigzags that glowed scarlet and black under the rising sun. Every rider sat straight-backed and silent, their faces masked by war paint that made their eyes look carved from stone. Spears tipped with obsidian glinted like frozen lightning. The riders filled the clearing so completely that Luke felt cut off from the rest of the world. An island surrounded by a sea of horses. His rifle was inside the cabin behind him, a good 10 feet too far away to reach without inviting an arrow in the ribs. Luke lifted his hands slowly, palms open. "If you're here looking for trouble," he called, "I'd like to know the reason before it starts." A rider near the front nudged his horse forward. He was older than the others, broad-shouldered, wearing patterns of paint Luke had seen only in trading post stories, marks of a war leader. His horse was the only one without war paint, which somehow made the man seem even more dangerous. "You are Luke Harlan," the chief said. Not a question, an announcement. "I am," Luke replied carefully. The warriors shifted in their saddles, a ripple of tension passing through the ring. It was the kind of movement men made when a single wrong word might give them a reason to strike. "You helped a woman of our people yesterday," the chief said. Luke felt a pinch of confusion. "If this is about that, I meant no offense. She needed help. I gave it." The chief raised a hand, and the riders eased just a fraction. Her name is Tala, daughter of our medicine woman. She traveled on a sacred duty. You repaired her wagon and changed her path. Before Luke could ask what that meant, a soft, familiar voice broke through the line of warriors. "Let him speak," Tala said, stepping between two riders. Her chin lifted, her expression unshaken. Luke's surprise nearly buckled his knees. But what shook him more was the look on the riders' faces, grim, resolved, as if this meeting was not a courtesy, but a judgment. Something larger than a broken wagon had been set in motion, and Luke stood square in the middle of it. The war leader stepped down from his horse with the deliberate calm of a man used to making decisions that changed fates. He planted his spear in the earth between himself and Luke, a gesture that felt like drawing a boundary or beginning a trial. The rest of the riders stayed mounted, watching in a silence so tight it seemed woven from the same fibers as their war paint. Tala moved to stand a few paces from Luke, not close enough to seem protective, but close enough that her presence said she was involved in whatever came next. "You showed honor," the chief said, his voice low and resonant. "But honor is not always without cost." Luke kept his hands loose at his sides, though every muscle wanted to tense. "What danger am I causing?" "All I did was fix a wheel." Tala's eyes flicked toward him, the faintest shadow crossing her face. "The wagon carried medicines gathered from many miles. Plants, roots, and powders used only in ceremonies to heal our wounded. I was to bring them to a camp where warriors were already hurt." Luke nodded slowly. "And the wheel breaking almost stopped you." "It nearly did," Tala said. "Raiders from a rival band were tracking me. They wanted the medicines, either to claim their power or to keep us from healing our own." The war leader continued. "Because you repaired her wheel, she reached safety. But the raiders later found your tracks beside hers. They believe you ride with us. They may think you protect her, or serve her, or that you carry the medicine now." Luke's mouth went dry. "So you're telling me they might come here looking for me?" The chief lifted his chin. "They will. Raiders strike at dawn or under moonless nights. They will not care that you are not Apache. They will only care that Tala reached safety, and you had a hand in it." Luke exhaled a long, steadying breath. "Then I should leave. No sense letting them drag trouble to your people. I can pack a few things, head east before sundown." "No," Tala said sharply before the chief could speak. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty. "Running will only show them you are alone. It will make you easier prey. Here you have walls. You have ground you know. And, she looked briefly toward the surrounding hills. You have us." The war leader inclined his head. "Tala spoke for you. Because of this, we will watch from the ridges tonight. If raiders come, they will not find you unprotected." A murmur passed through the warriors, agreement but also caution. Offering protection to an outsider was no small thing. Luke looked from the chief to Tala, weighing the risk. He didn't want bloodshed on his account, but the truth settled heavy in his gut. Running wouldn't save him. Trouble was already on the wind. "All right," he said quietly. "If they come, we face it." The chief retrieved his spear and mounted again. "Prepare yourself. Kindness is a blade that cuts both ways." The riders turned as one and vanished into the hills.